So, at the beginning of the story, we see some teachers having a meeting. They were actually discussing the fact that they had noticed all the students in one of their classes were getting the same grades. This made them suspect that the students might be cheating together. So they were discussing how to stop them. That's when we see a teacher named Humi who stands up and advises everyone, saying, "I think all the students are probably cheating with their cell phones," meaning they're looking at their phones while taking tests. So we should take a new approach. During exams, we should use a jammer to block all cell phone signals. Otherwise, they could even go to jail for breaking the law. However, Humi then advises them, "So the police don't suspect us. We'll only do this in this area and only use the jammer during exams. That way, no one will suspect us." But since this was against the law, no one there agreed to do it. Afterward, as soon as Humi stepped outside, the girls ran up to him after seeing him. Humi also started treating them very kindly. We learned that the girls really liked Humi. But then, when he started teaching class, we found out Humi studied in the US. That's why he's employed here as an English teacher. Here, we see a student named Nagoshi. Humi asks Nagoshi a question, but Nagoshi can't answer it because he was reading a comic book in class. After hearing this, another one of his friends starts making fun of him and says a couple of rude things. After class, the two of them leave and go to meet their third friend, Keisuke. Keisuke was a student in the class where the kids were cheating. So one of his friends asks him, "Are you cheating again? You're making everyone cheat, aren't you?" But Keisuke calms them down and says, "I'm just doing it for fun. Besides, you don't have anything to worry about. They'll never catch us." Meanwhile, we see Rina's father come to the principal to complain. He says, "My daughter, Rina, is always being bullied in class." However, both the principal and Humi directly tell her father no. They say, "No, that never happens at our school." But then we see that Rina was indeed being bullied in class, and she was somehow enduring it. Meanwhile, we see the PE teacher, who goes into a room with a girl named Mia and locks the door from the inside. However, Nagoshi's friend and some girls notice this from a distance. On the other hand, another teacher, Kyum, goes to a boy named Masahiko. Afterward, the girls who saw the PE teacher go into that room quickly come and tell Humi everything. They say, "The PE teacher went into a room with Mia and locked the door from the inside." As soon as Humi hears this, he quickly decides to talk to Mia. When he asks Mia about it, she clearly tells him everything. She says, "That teacher saw me steal something from a store. He came and asked me to confess everything, promising not to tell anyone. But when I confessed everything, he recorded it all on his phone. Later, he's been blackmailing me with those recordings. He takes me to his room almost every day." As soon as Humi hears this, he first takes Mia to the store owner from whom Mia stole. Here, he makes Mia apologize to the store owner, and the store owner forgives Mia. Afterward, Humi reassures Mia, "You don't need to be afraid anymore." Then, he sends a message to that teacher through Mia, writing, "You can't blackmail me anymore, even if you want to. Because I told the store owner everything, and he forgave me." Afterward, when the exam starts the next day, Humi collects cell phones from all the students one by one. However, Keisuke and some other students had backup phones. But those phones stopped working because Humi had secretly installed a network jammer in the school. Because of this, after class, some boys come and beat up Keisuke. This is because he had taken money from them to help them cheat. Afterward, Keisuke tells his two friends, "Maybe someone intentionally installed the jammer. That's why I got beaten up today." But then his other friends ask, "Who could have done this?" Keisuke replies, "Maybe the teacher named Suri did it, because he can't stand me." As he was leaving, he suddenly sees that teacher, Suri. This teacher clearly tells him, "After hearing your conversation, it's clear to me that you're the one who helps everyone cheat at school. So stop all this and become a good person. I won't share this with anyone." Before leaving, he also tells him that he didn't install the network jammer. Next, we see that when Suri returns home, he starts searching about Humi on his computer. Suri had become suspicious of Humi, so he started investigating him. However, during his research, he found some truly shocking information. Afterward, the next day, all the students at school are trained on how to exit the school using emergency slides in an emergency. Later, when they come to the nursing room, They learn from the nurse's conversation that when she examines them, all their data is saved so it can be improved later. Meanwhile, Rina's father comes to the principal again to complain. This time, he even has a written letter as proof, stating that his daughter was being bullied. However, Husumi once again tries to convince Rina's father, "You might be mistaken somewhere. Nothing like that happens at our school." But after hearing this, Rina's father gets very angry and starts yelling at them. Afterward, the next day, when Husumi was exercising in the morning, he runs to Rina's house. Here, he sees Rina's father has left many bottles and cigarette butts in front of the house. After seeing this, an idea comes to Hasumi's mind. Afterward, the next day at school, the girl named Mia calls Husumi and takes him to the rooftop. Mia had started to like Husumi, so she hugs him and starts kissing him. Husumi doesn't stop her. He also grabs her hand, pulls her closer, and starts kissing her. But then, they suddenly realize someone is on the roof. So, Husumi sends Mia outside and starts calling out, "Who's there?" That's when a boy named Tadanuma appears. Husumi then asks him, "You saw everything, didn't you?" But Tadanuma says, "What are you talking about? I was just lying here quietly." After hearing this, Husumi quickly leaves. He comforts Mia, saying, "No one saw anything. You don't need to worry." After saying this much, he leaves. Afterward, at night, we see Rina's father sitting in front of his house, waiting for a phone call. But when the phone call doesn't come even after a long wait, he angrily throws his cigarette down and quickly goes inside the house. However, this cigarette slowly moves towards the water bottles. And because the plastic of the water bottles melts, a fire suddenly starts here, burning everything to ashes. The next morning, we see the police arrive at the school to investigate this matter. Actually, someone intentionally replaced the water in the bottles with gasoline. That's why such a terrible fire started. Now, the police suspected that someone intentionally did this for revenge. And since Rina's father often came to the school, the police came to question why Rina's father came to school. The teachers then tell them he used to come here occasionally to complain because someone was allegedly bullying his daughter. Now, since the police didn't get much information, they try to leave. That's when the teacher named Suri appears before them. He tells the police, "You should investigate Mr. Husumi, because Mr. Husumi used to teach at Kadara's school before." But after hearing this, the police officers ask him, "What does it mean that he taught at that school?" Suri doesn't answer them and quickly leaves. But Keisuke secretly overhears everything. So he asks Suri, "What were you talking about with the police?" But then Suri clearly tells him, "I only said that Mr. Husumi used to teach at that school named Kadara." Meanwhile, we see the teacher Kyum, to whom that boy, Masahiko, comes again. And the two of them go on another date. We learn that they were both gay. That's why they dated differently. However, Mr. Husumi finds out about this. And when Husumi learns this, he comes and starts blackmailing Kyum. And that's how he starts using Kyum's luxury apartment. He brings Mia to this apartment for a date. Afterward, when he tries to go take a shower, Mia sees a scar on his back. When Mia asks him, "Where did this scar come from?" Husumi tells her, "It's nothing much. It's just a scar from an accident." But we actually learned that when Husumi was 15, he murdered his parents with a knife. He inflicted this cut mark on himself and called the police, telling them someone attacked and killed his parents and also attacked him. Meanwhile, Keisuke finds some newspaper clippings about Hasumi's old school and shows them to his friends. Keisuke tells them, at the school Husumi used to work at, for children suddenly committed suicide one after another. Everyone claimed Husumi was involved. But after hearing this, his friends tell him, "Stop digging into all this. Because if you keep digging, you might end up dead too." Meanwhile, we see students fighting in the school. Actually, there was a private conversation group at the school. Someone posted a message in that group saying, "They are the killer who murdered Rina's father. They intentionally left gasoline instead of water in the bottles." But after hearing this, Tadanuma comes and starts beating up a boy. They thought that boy had sent the message. And when Mia sees all this, she remembers that on the night they went on a date, Husumi had asked her for access to this private group. But then Husumi comes and stops the fight. Afterward, he goes and talks to them privately. He tells them, "Let's have a drink first, then we'll talk. Because I know very well that you drink with your friends." So Tadanuma and his friends come to drink with him. But Husumi traps them too and finishes them off there. That's why no one who knew about his relationship with Mia remained alive. Afterward, when Hasumi wakes up that morning, he sees two crows sitting in front of his house. These two crows used to come in front of Hasumi's house every day. So today, Hasumi had set up an electric wire to kill these crows. And when these crows came and sat there today, he connected the wire to electricity and killed one of the two crows right there. Through this, we understand how merciless Hasumi truly is. Meanwhile, Keisuke meets his teacher Suri again and asks him, "What else do you know about Hasumi? Tell me everything in detail." But then Suri tells him, "Actually, I suspect Hasumi, but I haven't been able to confirm anything yet. However, I'm working on it. Actually, the first time I saw Hasumi, I suspected him after hearing his words. That's why I secretly checked his resume. Many things there seemed suspicious to me and didn't match with him at all." Afterward, Suri starts explaining to Keisuke on the blackboard. He tells him, "Look, Hasumi's father is a doctor, and he was born here. He first went to Tokyo University, but he dropped out from there and went to Kyoto. Although he later got a job, he couldn't keep it for long either. Then he went abroad for higher education. But even abroad, he didn't do anything that would have allowed him to become an English teacher. But still, after completing his graduation and MBA, he again got a job at a bank. But he couldn't last long there either. Then he quit that job and came back to Japan. And now he's working as an English teacher at our school." Suri then explains to him, "Actually, after learning all this, I started researching Hasumi a bit more. And then I found out that when Hasumi was very young, someone attacked his house and killed his parents. They also attacked Hasumi. But then, when my suspicion grew even more, I started investigating his professional life. I found out that at the previous school he worked at, children started dying one after another. Even Hasumi's tutor was murdered by someone. And through all these things, I clearly understood that Hasumi was present in all the places where mysterious deaths occurred. Which means there's definitely a reason to be suspicious here." And when Keisuke hears all this, he also becomes suspicious of Hasumi. He also starts thinking that Hasumi must have some kind of secret. However, neither of them knew that Hasumi had overheard all their conversations with the help of a secret device installed there. And now he had planned to kill both of them. Afterward, one day, when Hasumi finds Suri alone in a train car, he kills him right there and hangs him with a rope around his neck. So everyone thinks he committed suicide. And when this news spreads everywhere and the students are informed about it, Keisuke clearly understands after hearing this that Hasumi probably did this. So he runs to the room where the two of them had talked about Hasumi. And here, he tries to find a device that can record audio. And when he finally checks carefully, he finds an audio device here. But by then, Hasumi arrives. And then one of Keisuke's friends comes running, looking for Keisuke. And when he sees Hasumi here, he asks him, "Have you seen Keisuke?" Hasumi directly tells him no, so his friend also leaves. But then we see Keisuke behind the table, unconscious. Later that night, Hasumi starts beating up Keisuke, and he asks him, "Did you share what Suri told you with anyone else?" Keisuke says no, but then Hasumi tells him, "You're the student who helped everyone cheat, aren't you?" Keisuke confesses everything. But then Hasumi shows him pictures of some other boys and asks, "Are these boys also involved with you?" But then Keisuke directly says no. But then Hasumi beats him up and takes him away from there. However, we later learn that when Hasumi went to America, he found a partner named Clay, who is also a psychopathic killer like him. Meaning, they both really enjoyed killing people. So they started killing people one by one. And that's how they committed many murders. But at one point, Hasumi murdered his own partner. However, later, when the police arrested him for this, Hasumi very cleverly cleared himself of all charges. But then the US government sent him back to Japan. Currently, after waking up in the morning, Hasumi takes his gun to kill that crow. But later, he intentionally doesn't kill that crow. Afterward, he takes Mia to that room, meaning to that gay teacher's apartment. But now Mia had become suspicious of him. So she secretly checks his bag carefully. Here, Mia finds Tadanuma's phone in his bag. And after seeing this phone, she is completely shocked. But then, when Hasumi arrives, Mia asks him, "Why is Tadanuma's phone in your bag?" Hasumi explains to her, "Tadanuma and I went for a drink together, but he got very drunk, which is why he left his phone with me and left. But he never came back after that." So I couldn't return his phone to him. But then Mia asks him, "What do you think? Who posted against Tadanuma in that public group?" Hasumi asks her, "Do you suspect anyone?" But Mia says, "No, I don't suspect anyone. But I don't think that boy posted against Tadanuma." But actually, Mia suspected Hasumi. She believed he made that post. And Hasumi clearly understands that Mia suspects him. That's why he plans to kill her. Afterward, Hasumi writes a letter on Mia's behalf and saves it. And then, since the festival day arrived very quickly, all the children decide to stay at school that night to decorate it. We see the girl named Rina, who had returned to school today after a long time. And here, Hasumi runs to Rina and tries to prove that he's very happy she's back at school and that he was waiting for her. Meanwhile, the PE teacher appears before Keisuke's friend and a girl. And when the PE teacher leaves their sight, the two of them start discussing, "Do you think this PE teacher is still blackmailing Mia?" But then they see Mia going to another place. So the girl says, "Let's follow Mia." But Keisuke's friend directly tells her, "No," and quickly leaves. Meanwhile, Mia comes to the rooftop because Hasumi had called her to meet him there. And as soon as Hasumi sees Mia, he beats her unconscious. Then he places that suicide note he wrote under her shoe. And then he throws Mia directly off the roof. But by then, that girl who is following Mia also arrived on the roof and sees Hasumi here. So she asks him, "Where did Mia go?" "I saw Mia coming to the roof." And after hearing this, Hasumi clearly understands what he needs to do now. So he kills the girl too. But now, since he committed this murder without planning, he had no other way to escape. That's why he decides to make a terrible plan. He leaves this girl's dead body on the roof and somehow locks the rooftop gate from the outside. And then he calls that PE teacher and tells him to come here. And we see Hasumi quickly returns to school from his house with a shotgun to cause a massacre. Meanwhile, we see a boy asking a girl to come downstairs a little later to propose to her. And he very happily starts going towards that classroom. And meanwhile, when the teacher named Kyum quickly comes to Hasumi, Hasumi beats him unconscious too. And quickly decides to deal with him. And meanwhile, when the children realize that none of their phones have network, meaning a jammer has been installed here, Keisuke's two friends clearly understand that Hasumi actually did this. So, they start telling the other children about Hasumi. Meanwhile, on the lower floor, 3 boys were drinking beer. And then Hasumi arrives here with the shotgun. And he shoots and kills all 3 of them one by one. However, the sound of these gunshots also reaches the PE teacher and that romantic boy who were there. So the PE teacher comes with a weapon to face Hasumi. But Hasumi kills him with a single shot. However, this time, the sound of gunshots reached all the children on the upper floor. So when they were running and trying to go to the lower floor, Hasumi announces over the intercom and tells all of them, "A dangerous person has entered our school, and he has a shotgun. He's killing everyone on the lower floor one by one. He's currently on the lower floor. So no child should mistakenly try to go to the lower floor. If you can, try to go towards the roof." Actually, Hasumi had already locked the rooftop door. He wanted to trap all of them here and give them a brutal death. Now, when all the children start running towards the roof after hearing this, the boys and girls who knew Hasumi well try to stop everyone. But some girls and boys don't listen to them and believe Hasumi's words, running to the roof. But when they get here, they find out the rooftop gate has been locked from the outside, so they couldn't get out from the inside at all. Meanwhile, we see a boy named Kajiro running with an arrow to call the police using the school's telephone. And then on the second floor, we see that among all the children, only 3 decide to go to Kajiro on the lower floor. And the remaining children close the school shutters. And they close all the doors and windows, trapping themselves inside. And meanwhile, when Kajiro comes to the lower floor, he sees the dead bodies of those 3 children. After seeing them, he was in a very bad state. Afterward, the 3 children somehow reached the school telephone. But Hasumi had already destroyed the telephone. So this telephone was of no use now. Afterward, when they were trying to escape from there in extreme fear, Hasumi was shooting and killing all of them one by one from a distance. And after seeing all these things, when a boy asks Hasumi, "Hasumi, why are you doing these things?" Hasumi tells him, "Where am I killing you? Your teacher Kyum is killing you." Actually, we then learn that Hasumi had planned to kill all of them and blame Kyum for all this, because he had already knocked Kyum unconscious. And meanwhile, we see that boy named Kajiro, who, after much effort, finally manages to get out of the school building. On the other hand, among the students who are on the roof, some boys and girls run to the lower floor. And the students who were on the lower floor had put all the chairs and tables against the doors and windows so that Hasumi couldn't enter at all. And meanwhile, Hasumi crosses out the names of all the children he had already killed from his list. But then he sees an eye of his old partner, Clay, on the gun, telling him, "Partner, let's kill some more children." Afterward, Hasumi comes with the gun to the children who are on the roof. These children become very happy after seeing Hasumi. But then Hasumi puts on a different outfit and shoots and kills all of them one by one. And a little later, after finishing everyone, he goes straight to the lower floor to kill all the children. And meanwhile, we see Kajiro, who had now completely exited the school. And meanwhile, Hasumi was finding and killing all the children one by one. But when blood got on him while doing this, he didn't like it at all. That's why he repeatedly cleaned the blood off himself. And whenever he found someone in front of him, he would shoot and kill them. Just then, a girl comes in front of him. And she asks him, "You killed them, didn't you?" But Hasumi doesn't answer her. Instead, he shoots and kills her right there. Meanwhile, Kajiro finds a person on the street, and he tells that person, "Quickly call the police. Someone has entered our school and is shooting and killing children one by one." After hearing this person quickly calls the police and informs them about everything. And afterward, Kajiro decides to go back to school to save his girlfriend, Satoru. On the other hand, Satoru also thought that Kajiro might be waiting for her downstairs. So she tries to go down with the help of a rope. But as she was descending, her hand slips. Because of this, she falls down and gets seriously injured. But still, she somehow keeps moving forward. A little later, Kajiro arrives at school. And when he sees Satoru from a distance, the two of them try to go towards each other. But just then, Satoru falls down. And when Kajiro shouts her name loudly, Hasumi hears all this from a distance. So he aims his gun at both of them through the window. And when Kajiro sees this, he attacks him with an arrow. But just then, Hasumi shoots, causing the arrow's direction to change. And a bullet hits Kajiro directly in the chest. Because of this, Kajiro dies there. And when Satoru sees all this, she stands stunned. So, Hasumi shoots and kills her from behind too. Now Hasumi clearly understands that Kajiro might have called the police. That's why he pours gasoline here and sets it on fire. Because of this, some children on the second floor get even more scared. But then Hasumi climbs up using the same rope Satoru used to go down and starts shooting and killing the children one by one. Although some children run and hide around this floor, Hasumi finds and kills all of them one by one. Meanwhile, Keisuke's two friends finally reach the exit door. But since the door was closed, they couldn't get out. And since the fire was getting closer to them, they were also very scared. As they were standing holding the door, one of them says, "We should use that emergency slide to get out of here." And as soon as they hear this, an idea comes to their minds. So they run to get that emergency slide. And meanwhile, Hasumi comes to that gay boy, Masahiko. And here, when Masahiko sees Kyume's shoes on Hasumi's feet, he clearly understands that Hasumi will commit all these evil deeds and blame Kyume. But just then, Hasumi attacks him with a gun. Because of this, he gets seriously injured. Although he tries to fight back, Hasumi kills him right there. Meanwhile, Keisuke's two friends come to the emergency slide. And when they were trying to go down with the slide, Hasumi hears this sound from a distance. So he sees them descending with the slide and shoots many bullets at them, killing them there too. And when he sees their two dead bodies descending, he shoots many bullets at their dead bodies. And when he confirms they are dead, he becomes very happy, because he was thinking that he had killed everyone. But actually, Keisuke's two friends didn't die, because they took off their clothes and put them on other dead bodies and threw them down with that slide. And Hasumi was shooting at those dead bodies, thinking he had killed them. Afterward, he goes to that teacher Kyume and kills him in such a way that it looks like he committed suicide. And later, when he hears the sound of the police arriving, he smashes his own head here and there and puts handcuffs on his own hands. Actually, he had planned to tell the police Kyume had an illicit relationship with the boy. And when everyone found out about this, he killed everyone one by one. And later, fearing being caught, he committed suicide himself. Afterward, When the police arrive here, Husumi starts acting in front of the police as if he knew nothing. But then a police officer comes and tells them, "We found 2 survivors." After hearing this, he is completely shocked. But then Keisuke's 2 friends are brought in. And after seeing them, Husumi starts acting in front of them too. He tells them, "I'm very happy to see you alive." But since Keisuke's friend was very angry, he tells the police, "He shot and killed all those children, and he also tried to kill us." And after hearing these things, the police start arresting Husumi. But then Keisuke's friend asks him, "What did you do to Keisuke? Did you kill him too?" But then Husumi starts talking nonsense in front of them. He tells them, "Actually, what just happened here was God's plan. God told me to kill all the treacherous children here." Although Keisuke's friends were very angry after hearing all this, they clearly understand that this is just the beginning of Hasumi's story. He might prove himself mentally ill in front of the judge and get out of this punishment again. And at the very end, we also see that girl named Mia, whom Husumi threw off the roof. Now she has also regained consciousness, meaning she didn't die. And at such a terrifying point, this entire movie ends here.